Good morning, all. Paul from CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Monday morning, July 14th. Looking at window traders market profile of the ES and NQ. So, month of July starting to fly by. We're almost halfway through it. Again, here's the important things for today for ES and NQ. ES had what you would refer to as basically a value gap to island gap, right? From Thursday, value was higher. Friday, totally lower. We had that last week, the week before also. So that's something that has to be dealt with to go back to all-time highs. The second thing is we're in balance here on the daily. I was calling it a 3-day balance. Okay? A lot of people are calling it a 5-day balance or 6-day balance and using last week's poor low as the balance low. Now, regardless of what you're using, right? Doesn't mean I wouldn't look for shorts below Wednesday's low, because I'm going to certainly be more cautious when we get anywhere near the weekly low. But that doesn't mean you can't get a decent run below there. Okay? It was also poor, the weekly low. If you take out a weekly low in ES or NQ, now NQ is a bit different. They didn't have that value top, okay, at all. But the weekly lows are critically important, because if you take them out, so in ES's case, that is 246 and a quarter, and NQ it's 779.75. If you take those out, not only would the daily firmly be down, but the weeklies now would be back in balance. Okay? The other thing is, did we just stretch our all-time highs, right? Their balances. That's a possibility. Well, again, the first step then would be to trade to the bottom of the balance, which for the most part is that weekly low. Okay, so that's really the bull's line in the sand. Yes, I would most likely call them down if we take out Wednesday's low, so we'll see if they defend Wednesday's low. But the real important one throughout this week, not so much for today, but throughout the week, will be the weekly lows from last week. The other thing you have to remember, 3 times last week, I think, we opened either above or below value and then looked to possibly have that 80-20 rule come into effect. So in today's instance, if we open below value and then get into it, you have an 80% chance of going to the other end of value. Now remember, twice the bears got into it in ES on the downside and never got there. NQ, the bears did on that one day. So when you're in this balance, being controlled strictly by short-term emotional traders and ALGO machines, the market continually changes and turns very easily. And the fact that as of now, the monthly and weekly is still very, very healthy makes it even that much harder for bears to try to accomplish what they want. So again, it remains to be seen if they will. Don't forget, we had a 13-wide POC on July 8th. Look how many times we came down to it. Wednesday, Friday, never got it. Now in the overnight, our overnight POC is below it. Is the third time the charm we're finally going to go get it? Good chance, especially if we open with lower value. But it just goes to show you how difficult it has been for bears to make any headway. Now, our afternoon pullback low in ES is just about 3 points lower than value. So if we're to get the overnight low first, then any push up would be a decent risk reward short against that, and you use either half back or value low as you're out in ES. Okay, now NQ lost their afternoon pullback, okay, in L period. So for them, if you were to get the overnight low, any push up to half back from Friday, and then any push into value, I would be very, very wary being short. So very early, come and join the trading room, right? You have 90 minutes to come and join us, see what we're all about, and watch how we provide a live webinar every day on our trading. And then on the chart, So here's the weekly. Right now it's up. Okay? So the bulls obviously want to continue by making new highs and continuing higher. The bears want to put a stop to this by taking out last week's low and coming back to balance. Our range last week was exactly $9. That's for the week. Okay? The week before that was $11. We've seen $9 and $11 ranges in a day. So it has been very, very light lately as we've continued to go higher here during the summer. And here also are the triple Qs. Last week's range, $8. Okay? Very, very small. The week before was 12.5. So do we continue to contract, or do we finally get some movement and break away either back to balance or continue to all-time highs? Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to this channel. Good luck trading today. And we'll recap at 4 p.m.